there for a second, lads. We're getting straight on into Picks and Bans for Game 2 here between T1 and G2, an elimination series. T1 in dominant fashion took Game 1. Now G2 on the blue side. Senna, Ashe, and Renata banned away. Rek'Sai, Zac, and Tristana banned away by T1.
Yeah, I think G2 missed a lot of their timing windows to really punish T1 in the last game. We saw them try and go for that reset for Dragon, a little bit too late to the party. When we look towards the early Void Grubs, the early Rift Herald, a little bit too late to the party. So, curious if G2 just feel like it was a timing issue in the game. But I think either way, me and Kobe, we were talking off stream. I don't want to see the Kazakhs again. I don't think it worked out particularly well.
It definitely didn't, and in this Champions Select powered by Omen and HyperX, we'll see if T1 upset the apple cart. They've already gone for the Poppy here as a very early pick.
Yeah, that's the thing. Owner is also an extremely good Poppy player, so it's a really good steal away from Mickey. And it's a very, positive, also flex pick for T1 here. So I do like that answer from T1 now being on the red side and facing the Draven.
Not going to go back towards the Kalista though, eyeing up the Varus at the moment. It will give you a little bit more push when it comes towards the mid game, but already seeing adaptations coming through very quickly from T1.
All right, G2, what are we going to pair with the Draven and possibly grab for Caps here, since T1 did at least throw him the Tristana ban again, at least giving that.
I think the big thing for T1 in Game 1 was the fact that Faker on Orianna could neutralize mid. He was able to match the push that Caps had, and even though he fell low a couple of times, he was never losing in that matchup. For G2, the question is, do you pick the Orianna? Because Faker will likely pick it on 3 here if you're giving him the option.
I actually thought they would go Orianna Nautilus here, but with the Viego, it feels to me more like they're eyeing up something like an Ahri in the mid lane, something that can try and be proactive and work alongside the Viego, and get Yike more active in the early stages, because I think that was the big part that was missing for me. Yike has been such a core part of G2 in finding that early success. We've seen it a lot at MSI, even on picks like the Ivern, but now on the Viego, I think you want a LeBlanc, an Ahri, something along these lines for Caps.
Yeah, definitely something with some sort of skirmish power. And Faker on the classic Azir here. They can also double ban now, expect Talia ban. And then whatever he's most worried about for Caps for second counter into Azir, double protection ban there. Meanwhile, G2 on their side. The Poppy is still flexible, but I'm assuming that it's going into owner's hands.
It is. The Talia banned away, the Vayne banned away by G2, but I want to remind people how prolific Faker is on Azir. He has 163 games on this throughout his career, which is more than double his next champion that has 75, which is about equal to Caps' most played. Like, Faker on Azir is a foundation of League of Legends history, never mind just a very good pick at the moment.
Yeah, Hansama's gonna have to have his eyeballs peeled for all these flash Azir angles that
you can talk to Ruler.
That Faker does go for. Exactly.
And to G2 last week.
True. But already through this now, Orianna taken away. I feel like we're going to get the Ahri pick coming through for a Caps. And then with the bans that we're seeing from G2, it feels like they are eyeing up the Cassante.
Exactly,
sure. Yeah, to put that into the top lane. But you've already seen the Camille can be the answer. If this Cassante is taken away, which it is going to be, do you just go immediately back towards the Camille here?
That's what's jumping out to me, because the Poppy's already taken. Both of the ranged common counter picks into it are already taken. And the Zac is also banned. So Camille is the next one that jumps out. The other thing, you can do AP like Gwen.
Yeah, it's possible.
Is one of the classic old ones. We haven't seen the Gwen really be prolific here at MSI, but
she can also really struggle in lane swaps if she gets put behind.
Exactly.
Aurelion Sol for Caps. Something he made his name on back in 2016 in EU Challenger Series with Millennium, and it's Urgot.
Yeah, that one has been prolific at MSI.
But really, planes more than the main stage. Since we got into the main stage, we haven't seen as much Urgot, although we have still seen it a little bit.
And I think a little bit of that has been because of how prolific lane swaps have been, how often we get to see them. But I think coming into this is where you're more than likely going to see a little bit more standard lanes, although with the Alistar now locked in, I think this is a good opportunity for you to, as T1 again, look towards these big team fights, with Keria being that main engage tool now on the Alistar.
Keria's going to have to be really careful with his life pool too, and very quick on his engages, because I kind of like the angle G2 are going for with multiple executes. They have Draven execute, Urgot execute, and Aurelion Sol executes, all to get souls for Viego, for Yike to be able to reset. They have so many ways to get these executes off on you that you really have to be careful with your life pools here in the team fight. The first person to die could start a chain reaction.
And I feel like the first port of action for G2 is going to be this bottom side. We were talking about the potential for an Ari or something along these lines in the mid lane to set up the Viego. You don't have that here. It's Aurelion Sol. So I think you have to start playing around this Nautilus in the bottom half of the map, or maybe even the Urgot in top, but get Draven up and rolling and try and do a better job of protecting him and find these favorable fights than you did in game number 1.
To Summoner's Rift once again. It was a week ago today that T1 beat G2 in their previous best of 5. T1 did get out to an early lead there as well, winning the first game, and then G2 were able to bounce back through the powers of Zac and Rek'Sai combined. And obviously they don't have that luxury today. T1 coming in very prepped and looking like a much stronger team than we've seen from them over the rest of MSI.
Yeah, I mean, the fact you get these here for Faker is huge. Every time I seem to look at T1, it is Faker making a play on his ear in clutch moments that brings them into a victory. Taught a lot against the Gen G over the course of playoffs. Didn't quite get the win sometimes, but was still a very big thorn in their side on this pick. And it feels like it's going to be a major issue for G2 in this game as well.
Onto the Rift we go once again. The storylines write themselves between these two teams. Met 5 times over the years. Last time G2 were able to pick up a victory was 2019 Worlds, where they beat T1 3-1. Last time T1 were able to pick up a victory, last Friday, where they took down G2 3-2. T1 currently leading as well in the best of 5 standings, 3-2.
But a lot of it seems to be G2 trying to rechase that glory day of 2019 where they won MSI. They went to the World Championship Finals, but since then it hasn't been all sunshines and rainbows, and this has been the 2-year project for G2 to find that success and contest on the main stage at international events once more.
All right, G2, they should have some priority on bottom side early on there with the Draven Nautilus, but look at that, Mickey's actually making a visit towards Faker first.
Faker has to burn the flash early. That's huge from Mickey.
I love it from Mickey because, you know, carry on the Alistar is like, all right, level 1, we're not going to overextend in lane or anything, and Mickey, with his free time, goes mid and gets a very, very, very valuable flash.
And dredgelining to terrain as well to get that extra movement down the lane. Obviously, if you go to terrain, the cooldown is halved on it, so he's actually back in time for the CS in the bot lane. Zeus feeling the pain of shotgun knees here. Broken Blade continuing to trade. Owners on the top side of the map. Zeus swing around the Rosies once again. Broken Blade using his autos just to chunk out Zeus, who's popped the ghost here. Well, Zeus, where you going, man? It's still on the wrong side of the rift. Broken Blade continues to put the damage down. Zeus will get back, but the flash disdain will knock him back. Broken Blade still looking for the damage. Zeus Ghost about to time out. Owner went to red buff instead of coming towards his top laner. Broken Blade continues to chase. Can't hit with the Q. Zeus able to get away, but Zeus burns his Ghost. Broken Blade burns his flash. Zeus can just TP back.
That's the thing. I think Zeus would just be able to come back in. Ghost's going to be up way sooner, so Broken Blade kind of needed to get the kill there. Oh, actually in the bot side, okay, Kerry, nice headbutt away, but I felt like BB needed to get that kill if he was hoping to have any sort of success in the top side, but in the replay, you can just see a little bit of a flash burnt there on Kerry, and thanks to a nice hook from Mickey.
Owner's going to smite here. Owner's going to smash him into the wall, can go back for that buckler. Carrier knocks away Mickey, but Mickey is here. Flash hook just wide. Spectral Maw away by Yike, he'll escape. In the end, it's a flash burn from Mickey. No flash burnt on the side of T1. Carrier used his flash earlier, but Yike here, walking back. That is not a safe path. Owner puts him 6 feet under in the river.
Owner's a poppy god too, and he strikes first in this game. Now he's got eyeballs towards Caps. Caps should be...
Flash, hammer smash, steadfast presence down. Caps puts the singularity out. Faker continuing to trade in. Faker dives back in and dives! Faker, what was that?
What just happened? The kill onto Faker as he goes under the tower. He doesn't even get the return kill on Cap. That is heartbreak for the T1 mid laner.
Oh, that is some bloodlust right there. He really wanted the 1-for-1, but doesn't get it. Caps just stares him down. Let's take another look at the beginning of this one. Owner with the flash trade, and then he saved the minion to taxi out.
Faker tanks the tower, eats the Stardust at the same time, dashes back in.
Just
Just doesn't
Just
have
doesn't have the damage,
yeah.
Miscalculation there.
But it's also greed from Faker. Owner just killed Yike in the jungle, has come mid, burnt the enemy flash, and Faker's going in. It feels just a little bit overeager from the T1 mid.
Yeah, I think he was hoping, look, Owner is here, I can trade kill for kill, we get the push in, and then I actually come out with a lead. But as you say, Faker miscalculating, and now Caps has a massive advantage in this mid lane, and this was a big talking point from their last series, was Caps getting these leads, but Owner doesn't want it to happen. He's shown up mid once more.
Wave, I think, is going to push back into Caps. One of those minions taking a tower shot means it will. He can put the Singularity down, obviously, if he wants to clear this out. Yike's in the vicinity. Broken Blade and Zeus still trading in the top lane. Broken Blade dashing into the minions, but we'll be able to farm them as they get underneath his turret.
Owner's still doing a good job, though, on this bottom side. You can see him getting into the face of Yike, just getting some vision down in the spot side jungle, trying to track where Yike is. Because I think that's going to be the big move, but it already happened in the mid.
Yike has flash. Faker has none. Flash Spectral more, and Faker falls again.
Faker shows some weakness in game 2, and G2 are there to pounce now. They will punish him over and over and over again. It all started with Mickey, level 1, blowing the flash, and then Faker diving in on the turret only to be ganked immediately afterwards by Mickey and Yike. They have to stabilize here for the side of T1, but G2 want to roll with that momentum as quickly as possible to even up the series.
Also, just an Aurelion Sol getting accelerated is never a good thing. He only gets so dangerous when he starts to get items under his belt and he gets the free farm. And when you're already working very quickly up towards that Rylays with the Giant Spell picked up, it's so difficult now to push Caps out of lane. Unless you can get Owner involved in this.
Yeah, the Rylays especially, the single item power spike for Aurelion Sol is so big because you can put a lot of pressure on those low mobility carries like the Varus. So then it makes Gumayusi have to play so much more safe because if the dragon comes flying over, charging Q on you with the extra slow, it's always going to force something.
Especially the on-hit Varus as well. I expected coming into this game that we'd actually see the poke Varus when you get the consistent
Emperor's Divide out. Caps looking for the damage. Spectral Maw going down onto Faker once again. Caps has the ult. He pulls down the skies, but Owner blocks the Breath of Life and keeps his mid laner alive. But the Breath of Life is nothing to the fear beyond death. And now Owner's locked up in the middle of 4 of G2, and Yike secures the kill.
Get the whole team in there. It's Broken Blade from downtown, deep in the river, leaving his lane to come assist on the mid pressure.
Keep your eyes on Mickey, though. He's trying to get back into the lane, got a Hex Flash over the wall. You can see Gumayusi and Keria setting up a trap there to see if they get something. But with that play in mid now, Yike going to open up the Void Grub. Zeus wants something to say about it as T1 come back out onto the map.
Yike gets one, we'll get the treat, we'll get the XP from it. Backs away afterwards, Owner's on his way, and I think it's wise for Yike not to stay around, especially with Caps already resetting. Blasting one and an Amptone in his inventory. I will say, like, this is how we saw BLG beat T1. You put Faker behind. He is the glue that holds this T1 together. You only have to remember last year, they almost didn't make Worlds because Poby had to sub in, and then Faker rejoined as we see a fight in the bot lane. Hansama now has the Whirling Death, and Mickey continues to step forward. Gumayusi doesn't have much mana. Keria doesn't have much HP.
This has certainly been an extremely rough tournament for Faker. But you do have to remember, it was him in game number 5 versus their series versus G2 on the Ahri that pulled out the charm flash play over the wall to still clutch it. We will see if the failures continue or if he can pull out of it and clutch for T1 once again.
Flash from So it's an often made mistake on the Alistair. You flash, you think you're in W range, you're not. You headbutt the ground. But we'll have another look at the play in the mid lane.
And it's just nicely done. Yike is in this position that he needs to be, and even though you get the Breath of Light cancelled by Owner stepping in front of it, we get the cinematic impale coming through on towards Faker, with BB having a great run down to cover this one, and then Mickey just helping out and making sure they finish off Owner as well.
Yeah, you get so much more when you attack mid lane here because you're also drawing in extra kills onto the Poppy, extra kills onto Owner, putting him behind and not allowing T1 to set up their deeper vision that they usually use to get so much more safety.
Once again, G2 out to a bit of a gold lead, about 1.4k right now. Caps looking up towards that top lane, but can of course just be playing for vision as well. Currently backing outside of a bush. I think he's just playing with the fog rather than actually going to finish that recall. Mickey towards the mid lane once again. You can see Faker is there, Astral Flight. Faker dashes away, does have the flash back up now.
Always a good trade there, even if you're just getting the combo out. And Caps is able to then get a reset off with that mid prowl, pushing the wave in quite nicely. Like you already said, Doctor, like Aurelion Sol getting accelerated is so difficult because the team fighting that this champion brings later to the game is insane. You have so much area control.
Also, just how much objective control he's going to bring as well. Like, continuously shoving mid, going to be able to shift in over towards the Dragon, shift up towards the Void groups to start to come up. Like, this is dangerous territory for T1, and especially as Yike already starting up the Dragon off of the push you have in bot lane, it feels like G2 are already going to start on that dominance when it comes to these neutral objectives from now on.
You can see owners on the top side of the map. No contest going to happen here by T1. Owner will look for Caps, but Caps already has the Rylai's in such a strong spot now. Could even Astral Flight up to the top lane. Decides against it.
If I had the drawing tool, I'd be highlighting these wards right now. These 3 control wards around mid lane for G2, they are just lighting up the avenues to gank towards mid lane, and also to allow mid lane.
Singularity, path maker out by Zeus. Caps now Astral Flighting forward, falling sky doesn't land. Zeus. Great dodge away, burns the ghost forward, but gets BB's flash. Owner now starting up this blue. Faker can move from mid, but Owner will shock Yike against the wall. Faker on the move, steadfast presence away.
You have to be careful here as G2. You just invested a lot into that topside play with Cap's ultimate, but Void Group's going to be up soon.
Oh, Cameo with a great double knockup. TP behind, death charge onto Guma, but I don't think Hans Summer is long for the rift. Whirling death, not enough. Faker TP it in. Cameo with an absolutely beautiful engage. It's diabolical from T1 as they lock out G2's bot lane and get 2 kills in a second. You have to feel there's no way Mickey gets out of this. Even with the dredge line, Faker can chase him down. Mickey will fall. A 2 for naught for T1 in the bot side. Eventually.
Nicely done there. I like
Maybe
it.
He gets out. There's no way he gets out, right? Owner's it. There's no way he gets out. Oh, he gets out! Oh, he gets out! No way! There's no way he still gets out.
Faker may be eternal, but Mickey is...
I mean, he's going to die. I think he's trying to execute, right? If he executes off this, though... Oh, no.
No way.
No. Guma's here. Guma's here. The sniper arrives and Mickey dies. As I said, a simple 2-0 in the bot lane.
It was always going to be the way that the kill went to Gumayushi, but this bought so much time for G2. They actually managed to steal away one of these Void Grubs, actually 2 of these Void Grubs on the top side, so it will make it a 3 for 3 in the long run.
I mean, Yike might just look for the smite here. Yeah, it's a smite fight between Owner and Yike. Both of them have the upgrade. It's smite and Yike gets it. That's mites for G2.
I love that, actually. Before the Q2 pops there, Yike goes in with his own burst combo and is able to yoink it away at 1k health. Nicely done, but we'll see what T1 respond with. Topside tower is still going to be there, and it's a big breakpoint too, right? Because they did lower the Void Grub required for the Void Might down to 4, so very big steal away from them, but T1 still prio on top side and still pushed in.
They have the vision as well. They know that Mickey's on his way up here. Yike pathing towards the bottom side. Owner opening up through mid, but he's going to go bot as well for his Gromp and his Razor Beaks. Maybe even fight over that Scuttle Crab. Gold relatively even between these two. 500 the difference. You can see the difference is really between mid, where Caps is in the lead, and for Gumayushi in the bot lane.
You have more gold spent on G2 though. You can see the Essence Reaper already picked up for Hans Sama, whereas with the kill that Gumayushi got, he's still sitting on that 300 gold, which he would like to spend into that Blade of the Rune King, but doesn't quite have it yet. So T1 definitely going to want to reset to come through before this Rift Herald in a minute's time, and that's why you kind of saw Yike moving into that bot side. Everyone in G2 going to start to drift up towards that big objective next.
Importantly, that kill on Hans Sama obviously gets rid of his adoration stacks as well,
yeah.
right? Gets rid of some of them. So he's only at 100 stacks now. That execute threshold for the Whirling Death isn't in the same place as it would have been if he had a fight with those stacks up.
All right, the chicken fight here. Not successfully taken for the big one, and Owner's at least going to be able to collect that. Also defending here on the invades, looking for those deeper wards, is T1, able to secure their jungle. You see Karya hovering as well. Gonna go try and cover the wave, at least soak this one while Guma gets back. There's no cannon, so just gonna be up to Karya here. He got 1 melee, 2 melees.
Burns his aftershock, so the dive might happen. You can see Mickey thinking about it. It's like, oh, he's only got the Unbreakable Will. That only reduces damage by like 55%, so we can probably work our way through that eventually. Broken Blade still trading with Zeus in the bottom lane as Yike looks for a gank on Faker.
Gonna go for it. Ultimate here not used by Caps, maybe saving because they've got the Rift Herald popping up shortly here, and you want to use that for the team fight.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to burn something from Faker, either the Flash or the Emperor's Divide before this came up, but now G2 going to start up. But honestly, I think T1 in a pretty decent position to try and contest this. They're going to be able to use that pressure they had made now to move across.
Okay, watch Caps. He saved his big charged up Aurelion Soul ultimate.
Will disguise descent. Zeus TPing into the fight. Chain of Corruption going down as well as Mickey's locked up. Death charge on the backline, but the Emperor's Divide will catch Mickey. The skies descend. Is it enough? Faker shut down. Broken Blade looking for more. The Welling Death going out. As Carrier's on the backline. Caps has no mana to deal with him. And now Carrier knocks Broken Blade back into the team. The Pathmaker into the wall. Caps pull back with the all out. And Caps will fall. 2 for 1 in favor of T1 so far.
Zeus is insane, man. He's doing so much for this team. Now he's on the Cassante and he pulls Caps in for the extra kill there for T1. That will allow them to take the Dragon, and G2 will at least be able to trade and pick the Rift Herald up for themselves, I believe, because Zeus by himself is not going to be able to stop.
They're going to try and trade for the topside tower as well. You can see at least the Draven moving up there. They're also going to send Broken Blade up to try and get that, but big fight from T1. The owner getting that ultimate on towards Yike in the middle of that fight as well just set up so beautifully for T1 to take the number that's advantage in that fight.
Zeus is here on his lonesome, no ghost. Dredgeline in by Mickey will land the root. Broken Blade looking for more, but I think, as you said, just setting up for this tier 1 in the top lane. T1 answering with pressure in mid. There's a Rift Herald for G2. They'll go for the tier 2, but T1 should be able to get at least 1 tower in response to this. The charge comes forward.
Yeah, T1 are pushing on 2 lanes right now, but G2 have a harder push because of the Rift Herald, because of the Void Mites popping out as well. So it kind of has to be answered there. And Zeus move in, and they want to save the Rift Herald. I love how everyone's always driving it away and kind of delaying the death, inevitably, for a little bit of a stylish escape, but Zeus probably still should be able to collect that one, as T1 did get both towers. It was mid and bottom that they pushed.
So, I mean, which is going to be a big win for T1. The goal is still relatively even, but the fact that you're getting so much map control is going to do them quite a bit of a favor, especially if you can get that push in mid and then start to lean in towards side lanes. And Hansama, once more, hasn't got that chance to cash in, didn't die in the last one, so it's not like this Draven is massive in the mid lane for you to try and deal with. And Carrier linking up with Faker in this top side wants to start to set up that vision so they can contest in the mid lane.
And Faker back out to the side lanes. A tale as old as time on the Azir, split pushing. He has no flash or teleport, but because they've got full control mid and Carrier in the river, no problem for him to get that wave into the tower.
And importantly for Faker, even though he went 0-3 at the start of the game, he's now sitting at 2 and 4. Hash that Nash's Tooth will scale up throughout the game. So he was very far behind. Now the gold is even in the mid lane.
If you're going to count on one player, never mind.
He has the dredge line here. Carrier goes in. TP invested. Sets his presence out from Ona. He tries to flash away. Locked up for a second. Chain of Corruption coming out with the Emperor's Divide away by Faker. Dredge line's going to chase him down. The falling star into the wall. Welling Death from Hansama finds another for G2.
And that's the execute that Hansama needed, the cash in for the Draven. And it's off the back of Cap, sailing beautifully over the wall to finish off Faker.
What can they do with it? Pushing topside that already is second tower down, plus the mid lane control. Honestly though, just getting that cash in like you're talking about is pretty much the primary goal. That should be Infinity Edge pretty soon for Hansama, transformed and completed, and then playing off that big 2-item mid-game Draven power spike is what they want to do. There's the IE.
I like the response from T1 though. Because Draven reset, they immediately push mid and they're just starting to get this vision creeping in onto this bottom side again, allowing Zeus to continue this push. And that's been the big win that they got off of those 2 towers being down, has been able to open up the potential for vision deeper into the G2 bottom side.
You also have these wards in the mid lane, flank positioning for Zeus with his TP, for Faker with his TP when G2 go for the push through mid for the Dragon play. It's one apiece so far. It's Hex Soul, very powerful as G2 begins to collapse in bot.
Owner here getting locked up.
For Owner, Spectral Maw going wide though. Broken Blade takes half his health as he tries to push forward.
This is one of the big power spikes for G2, because not only does Hansama have his double item power spike, so does Caps on the Aurelion Soul. And you see him, full control of mid, rotates over down to the rest of the team. They get their tower, and they keep on pushing.
And just overloading one side of the map as Faker on the top side is trying to push in himself. Doesn't have the TP right now. G2 looking for a little bit more, but I expect it will just be chip damage on this turret, then back away. Faker's going to be knocking on the door of the tier 2 in the top lane soon. Instead, he decides to recall TP invested by BB to catch this wave.
And I like the response from T1. They don't overinvest in that bot side. They're like, look, we can clear this out, so let's push in top. BB has to TP in then to collect the wave. And now when you look towards, Dragon in a minute's time, BB has to try and push out this wave, reset, and then join in onto the bottom side fight, whereas Faker, having his teleport available, will be able to keep that pressure up and contest a tier 2 tower while Dragon is available.
Is there ever an opportunity for G2 to look maybe towards an early Baron? Azir obviously very good at doing it for T1. We've seen how often they've done it. Blade of the Ruin King plus Nashor's Tooth. If you can get the Liandry's as well for Faker, you can melt through that. On the side of G2 though, Liandry's, Rylai's, Infinity Edge, Essence Reaver, Kraken Slayer on Yike. It's a possibility. If one team overinvests in going towards the Drake, maybe we will see a Baron rush.
I think it'll be T1 that decide to give up Dragon more so than G2. As you say, 2 item spikes across the board is a big win, and the Sky's Descent available for caps. Even when you look at the combat gold on the side of your screens that was invested, it's heavily in favor of G2, so I'm surprised they are moving Faker down. I thought they'd just try to contest for the tier 2 on the top side off of that push.
T1 have no vision in the river right now.
Oh,
Mickey look for the hug, but Carrier flashes in for the stun. The Singularity starts to descend as Carrier's locked up and pulled back into the waiting maw of Broken Blade and caps once more. The Rylai slow, not going to be enough. No chase continuing here for G2. Yike goes in! A 4-man and knock up from Yike! And I said those words only a week ago. They find another, but Yike will fall. Owner catching the keeper's verdict. Helicoptering it, won't charge it now. G2 turn their eyes towards the Drake.
Yike's not supposed to be the better support. Mickey hooks the wall and Yike is like, hang on a second, I'm gonna show you how it's done. 4-man Alistair pulverized onto T1. That was beautiful from Yike.
And I thought it was going to be a snap engage from Carrier. Let's look at what locked him up. Because he flashed him for the Q, but he couldn't get the headbutt on the caps.
I think Yike stuns him with Spectral Maul.
Yeah, he immediately got stun locked, and then the execution comp we talked about in Champion Select, they get the execution on the Alistar, they get the kill, and then Yike shows them how it's done with the 4-man combo. Does sacrifice his life, but they get the extra kill on the objective afterwards.
G2, what a moment, what a swing in the game. They get their second Drake of the matchup, a 2,000 gold lead. You can see the damage that Caps is putting down. Hansama too has 100 Adoration stacks, and we continue stacking those up throughout the game. Last Whisper already for Hansama. I wonder if we'll see the mythical LDR from him in this game against T1 to work his way through Zeus, who has a Thornmail and a Jack Show.
The thing is, G2, yes, have a lead, but we've seen what T1 are like when they are behind. They are one of the most, if not the most, clutch teams in the world. And Caps wants to take the focus out of it, because Faker is the leading shot caller in that moment. But I don't know, because that's Baron if you overextend, and T1 know it.
And Hansama immediately backed away. As soon as they saw T1 stepping up towards the Baron, the reset happened for G2. Faker still has TP, and with the Sun Disc down, this wave is relatively pushed for the next few moments.
But the combo from T1 is terrifying, especially when Carrier gets his flash up and available. So you have to be incredibly careful here as G2 that you don't give that moment for the headbutt pulverize combo into Faker knockback, into a chain of corruption and set up from owner. Like, there is so much on T1 that can take this small victory away from you.
That was a really nice small victory from T1. With Faker pressure on bottom side, it got them all this vision control.
Yeah.
Really good job from the observers toggling the vision there that T1 cleared out, and now G2 are forced to face.
Caps is showing on bot wave. Mickey punted into the back of the pit as they look for the damage. T1 call off the Baron, they go for the chain of corruption. Mickey's the first to fall. T1 still very healthy as Broken Blade buffers the disdain out of the Entopos. T1 though have got the kill. Will they look for more?
It's T1, Carrier and Owner, the bouncers of Summoner's Rift. They're controlling the position of G2 members. Carrier knocks in Mickey, and
Carrier
then Owner knocks
Carrier was seen. There's the Spectral Maul. They don't follow up for more. Importantly, Carrier seen as he walked around that bush. Yike stepping forward now. You can see the Hexgate channel. That's Carrier going out. And T1 will call off the fight around the Baron.
The Spectral Maw interrupted the Hex Flash from Carrier. If he'd got that off, that would have been a very juicy member of G2 landing right at the footstep of T1. But this is what I was talking about. The fact that T1, they can play so well around their side lanes. They will always try and force you into unfavorable Barons. And just like that, G2, they just give off one pick off of great map play from T1.
Exactly. T1 are so good at playing by the steps. It's the domino effect. Sideline pressure for Faker draws them away from Baron. Then you move in, you get your vision control, and then the vision control turns into your pick. Nicely done.
Now G2 trying to get control around here. BB has the TP. He's going to answer Zeus in the bot lane, and it's exactly the same. We're painting by numbers here for T1. Put the pressure in the bot lane, then move up towards this Baron. A minute and a half before the next Drake. It would only be the third of the game for G2 and only the second for T1, so I don't think we'll see too much action deciding the game around that. BB's going to answer into Zeus, who tanks a tower shot. Doesn't matter, he's Cassante. Tank as many tower shots as you want, because his health's basically full.
BB should be able to get the advantage on the push in the spot side though. When we're in mid and 20 until Dragon, I think that's really where we're going to start to see it. So T1 at the moment get both the waves shoved in. They want to look for the reset before the Dragon spawns and then open up on mid and contest that wave.
Literally same exact play, except for Zeus was the one bottom. They push bottom, they get their vision control around Baron, and then they try and pick.
Carrier's going to catch Mickey here. TP in. That's Zeus joining the fight. Carrier gets the knockback onto Yike and the Baron. Already so low. T1 sneak it under G2's noses. Will they look for more of the fight? Mickey on the front line. Caps unable to do any damage as of yet. Mickey still low. Hansama flashing away. Baker dashing forward. Almost a Baker moment from him. But he's stunned up and locked up against the wall. 2 kills over to T1 so far. They'll get a third. And now it's only Yike and Caps surviving. And Zeus will not let them do so. The knockback with the Intofus. Caps has to retreat through mid, but T1 could just push through it too.
Yep, they've got Baron, but
Caps! He brings down the stars. He looks for Zeus. Can he take him? The tower damage enough to help Caps get a kill on the T1 top laner, and perhaps the advance stopped here by T1.
Oh, Caps saves it there. The power of the cosmos calling down to G2's side to put a stop to that push.
And even the fact that Yike managed to get away just barely means that G2 are still in a position where they can text this Dragon, but Hextech Gate's already out. But you see here, Carrier playing Bouncer on the Baron. Caps isn't in a position to contest, and the entire of T1 running down to the spots, and Hansama missteps here. Tries to catch the axe, immediately Owner jumps on him, and now Zeus is able to open up onto one side of the fight, whereas the Leandri's burn from Faker finishes off Hansama, and Broken Blade, separated from G2, is able to do nothing as T1 continue forward.
And then we know the end of this story. They tried to go for Caps, but he had flash and ultimate. Really good flash plus ultimate there to separate the team and get Zeus on the other side of the tower. Burns him down. Caps doing his best there. The Aurelion Soul level 15. Stacking up Stardust quite well on top of it, and 3 item power spike to boot.
Zeus is having a great series, though, on the Camille in Game 1, now almost out-damaging Caps in Game 2 on the Cassante. It looks like G2 will give up the ghost of this Drake. T1 with their lead, have got 2,000 gold off this Red Bull Baron power play. They'll get a Drake out of it as well. The Whirling Death, nowhere near a Whirling Whip there from Hansama.
It's the second Dragon for T1, only equaling up though, so this game still feels like it has a bit of a while to go before any team can really get full control. T1 though, just going to be a bit of a nuisance as Carrier pops over the wall, but you're just trying to defend the push on the Baron with 50 seconds left on the buff.
And the main issue for G2 is Caps doesn't have flash, Hansama doesn't have flash, and Yike doesn't have flash, and Faker does the Faker sometimes. Especially on the Azir, he just slides in, he flashes behind you, and you scoops your entire team into T1's faces. For G2, they have to give up that bot lane tier 2. Caps can Astral Flight out of this. Owner looking for the chase, but shouldn't be able to catch the Star Dragon.
I think T1 need to calm down a little bit, at least the backline for sure, because Owner, Carrier, and Zeus are absolutely tacticians on the battlefield right now. They have controlled the positioning here of G2 really well. So if the backline stays calm and protected, I think they will be able to set up the next objective as well and be able to pull it for themselves. Owner spinning the Poppycopter, but not going to fire it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is where we're going to see just the pace slow down. I think there's no real objective to fight for at the moment. T1 have the advantage as they are coming back stronger, so they will try and push in towards these towers. Zeus needs to try and get an advantage on bot where maybe he can lean into mid, but it's going to be these outer tier 2 towers that T1 are going to be looking for right now before the next big objective spawns.
See Caps just lying in wait here, knowing he doesn't really want to show until he sees Zeus in the bot lane, until he sees where Faker is, until his team is here to clear out the vision. T1 play this portion of the game so well, just continually suffocating you, making sure that when you step into your own jungle, you're on vision, you have to expend your resources clearing that out, which means you never get past the halfway mark of the map. and it becomes so much harder for you to contest the next objective. Baron in 2, Drake in 3.
Yeah, Zeus once again with the level lead over Broken Blade in the side lanes, but he's getting teleported on. G2 are sending on bottom side 4 people at the Cassante.
Dagda said it's nothing really to fight over right now. Caps has the skies to send, has that ultimate. Mickey looking for the chase as well. If he can get in range for the depth charge, it will be enough. Zeus slowed again by the Rylai's. Mickey going to the terrain, and Zeus trying to re-engage. Pathmaker all out onto Mickey. Perfectly played by Zeus, but G2 have not given up the ghost of this play yet. The fear beyond death might expire before Zeus falls low enough to pull him back. Caps takes it. Meanwhile, T1 get a mid-tier 2 and are looking for a tier 2 in top.
You have to reset fast as G2. T1 had their ways because of the amount of time Zeus bought. So they're able to get 2 towers in response. Broken Blade going to try and push him bot, but the teleport in behind.
Recall canceled there from Broken Blade too.
Faker is here. Carrier on his way. The unseen Faker tends to be the deadliest, and Broken Blade now realizes perhaps he's met his maker. Emperor's Divide back. Faker can buy a little bit of time here because Carrier is still collapsing for the play. Broken Blade has flash and begins to walk his way away. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Owner's being caught out by Yike and by Mickey. Broken Blade still trying to escape. Looking at picture-in-picture though, as Caps flies in. Carrier with the ignite. Broken Blade turns it back around onto Faker, but all he's doing is buying time, and precious seconds they are, as Owner falls on the top side of the map.
The Whirling Death nearly connects on the Faker from Hamsama, but now going to start to open up in mid. Cap's going to start to push in on top side. It is a bloodbath around the map.
And what's key is the summoner spells that are used in these attempted picks, because Baron's up in 30 seconds. You know, we just had this 2-minute kind of dead time in the game looking for picks on the sides, but the summoner spells used there. Broken Blade tried to flash for it, so they won't have that on the Urgot this time around. Owner went down, but he did save his flash.
Faker did use the TP. Caps used his as well. Remember to collapse on Zeus. So it'll be TP for TP with Zeus and Broken Blade both having theirs.
But again, look at the amount of vision control that T1 already have. Ward in the mid lane behind enemy lines. A ward in that brush that's just behind Hansama as well. Just got cleared out, but this is where, again, T1 have already set up so much control around this objective as a spawn.
And it's why taking that Scuttle Crab is so important for G2, because it gives you that extra bit of awareness of where the wards are on the map. They do not know, though, that this ward where Hansama sits currently resides there, and that is a flank ward for Zeus if the Baron is begun by G2. Caps pushing out the bot lane. It's building up towards a Zhonya's Hourglass, has the Seekers right now, and a needlessly large rod. There's the Zhonya's. 4 items on Caps, 437 stacks. As T1 begin to open up through mid, try and get that wave pushed in, so G2 have to answer.
The wave on bot is going to slowly move in towards that tower that could actually finish it off, so Broken Blade not actually going to go in and interact as T1. They take up the Baron area once more.
Only the Scuttle Crab for vision. G2 step forward. Zeus is there. Mickey misses the hook. The Spectral Maw goes wide too. BB no flash. Zeus looking for him. Faker dashing in as well. Broken Blade will take a little bit of chip damage. Mickey on the flank now. Keeper's Verdict charged by Owner, but currently no decision has been made as to whether they're guilty or innocent. Carrier alongside Owner stepping forward. Yike found the Spectral Maw Sun. Fighting over the mid wave. The hook from Mickey. Pathmaker out by Zeus. Singularity. Hot by Caps has the skies descend, and Yike dashes into the steadfast presence. Carrier can look for the stun, but Zeus and Faker are separated. Heroic charge onto Yike. Owner looking for a little bit more damage. Yike, has he got any jungle camps to farm up? He's got his wolves, might go back for them. Hansama steps forward and is immediately locked down by T1. Hansama oversteps as a 1-for-1, so far as the skies descend, and Faker falls. Broken Blade being followed by Zeus on the bottom side as Mickey tries to flash away. Yike trying to get Owner, but he doesn't get the reset in time. Yushi has all the time in the world to put G2 6 feet under. Zeus still chasing for Kaz. He'll try and fly his way away, but I think the only tickets he's buying are back to Europe.
And once again, Carrier is the one that stops the G2 hype train, stops them getting on that. And at the platform, Carrier keeps Caps at bay for Zeus to show up. And T1 have done it again against G2.
Guba and Owner pushing away at the Nexus turrets, and they're gonna do it!
The first game was a demolition, the second was close, but once again the Titans that are T1 slam the door in G2's face. Hansama needs to do it all here if they're going to survive. Carrier gets the knock-up, the Nexus at half health, Zeus with a knockback, Owner low, another for G2, but Zeus is done with this! Zeus will fall! A quadra for Hans, and G2 cling on to the precipice!
Faker has the TP though. There's no wards, but they have to clear out all these waves, make sure the Faker can't get onto it. But Baron is up and available. It's going to be a split G2 as they try to hold on to us.
Yeah, Hex gates for Baron, but Faker's going for the teleport in.
Faker's TPing in, counter TP already invested. Nicky is there. Faker just needs an auto. Faker finds it. Who else? Who else but Faker for T1?
The teleport play from Faker to finish off the game. G2 needed to go for Baron, but it was such a big risk.
Faker channeling Xpeke against Europe in the end of game number 2 here for an exciting one.
What an end it was. But T1 constantly showing us they win one fight, they can win the game. And that one, obviously a little closer than perhaps they would have liked, but they just pounce immediately. G2 reeling from the punches that they're feeling from T1 so far.
And that's the thing, so many people coming into today thought that T1 had looked shaky, hadn't found their footing, but this is a revitalized T1, and G2 look shaken.
They really do. Nostalgic for Heart stealing new genes from Worlds 2023. Check out Grind to Glory, a short